Oh boy. Well, I'm Luke Holthouse from the 2017 Indianapolis Corps. Born and raised in Los Angeles, moving out to the Midwest. Very excited about that. Went to USC. Always very interested in education policy, specifically issues of socioeconomic inequality and trying to address that through ed reform. And so TFA has been a college-long dream for sure. On the way down from Indy to Houston, I drove with 2 other Corps members. Only mishap was I lost a windshield wiper on the way down. The really funny story is that the one stop that me and my car wanted to make as we were going down is at the high school from the Little Rock 9 in Little Rock, Arkansas. And without any coordination or communication, a separate car of TFA Indy Corps members also happened to be right there, right as we got there. And sure enough, it's Teach for America kids that are looking at the site of historic desegregation efforts. It was just one of those great moments of yeah, we're in this. This is the kind of people that I'll be living with for the next 2 years. The week of professional development has certainly been a trip. I'm in the high school secondary maths group, and it's very funny and wild because you wouldn't think that we would need to do all of the classroom management related things that would typically be a point of emphasis within the elementary school range, but we've been doing a ton of that, which has been really interesting.
Okay, so the first week of Institute was much rougher than I thought it was going to be. We moved in and we kind of had that time to kind of debrief ourselves and then straight to classes on Monday. And I think looking at the schedule, seeing, okay, it's from 8 to 5, mentally knowing it's going to be like that, but then actually sitting in these classes for the entire day and really not getting to move is one of the hard things to do. I'm so excited to get in front of the classroom finally and to we got our rosters today, and today we got to set up the classroom and how do we want our desks to be and how are we going to do assigned seating. And so kind of getting that tangible, here are their names and this is where they're going to sit, and getting that evidence of they exist and you're now, they're getting put in your hands for the next 4 weeks is something that it's hit, but it'll hit way more on Monday come the first time we get to meet them and do our introductions. And so I have a co-teacher. We just got paired up, I think, on Tuesday, and so he's from a completely different region, just met him this week, and so I was a little nervous when they said, okay, you guys are co-teaching, because some people don't have a co-teacher, but most of us will. I'm teaching middle school English, and so it's pretty much we're going over specific text and we're analyzing it, and then the main goal is we're writing 3 different essays and kind of seeing how do our students progress throughout these 4 weeks. And so at first I was like, man, I don't want a co-teacher, I want to do this on my own, let me see what I've got. And then after doing classes and workshops and understanding there's so much more than just looking at a lesson plan and being cool, we're going to wing it today, because these kids have so much more riding on than just, oh, I hope my teacher wings it. Today we talked about knowing the difference of culture and not using that as an excuse to stereotype and kind of bunch our students together, which I think unfortunately a lot of times the system does that, of saying, well, that's just our culture, and allowing these students to continue to just kind of separate themselves from the group. And unfortunately that creates this systematic oppression of, well, because of my culture, this is what I'm going to identify with now. And so we learned that culture shouldn't be a negative connotation, but it should have a different definition than what we've been giving it in the education system.
Well, the transition from induction to institute, kind of challenging, just because you went from one support system of your home, and then getting a support system in induction for me, KC, and that was great. And then transitioning to institute of having to get another support system, sessions, days at institute have just been really long, essentially, especially transitioning from induction. Though the ones that I've really liked have been the DEI, or the diversity, equity, and inclusion ones. We've only had 2 so far, but they've been like really informative, and I think that they really meet like the core values of TFA, and part of the reason like why I joined. They're especially helpful because like we talk about like meeting students where they're at, and part of meeting students where they're at is also understanding like where we're coming from. I'm really excited to get into the classroom on Monday. I feel like like all of Institute has felt like really long. The 1 week has felt like, I feel like a couple months. So getting into the classroom and like being able to actually being able to utilize like what I've been learning and actually like get to experiment with that and really work with the students and like tailor what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what I actually need to improve on, what might be more challenging. So I'm really excited to do that with the kids. We got to like tour the classroom today, so we set it all up. So I'm really excited to actually put students in it and see like what works and what doesn't work.
Being in Institute has allowed me to be with some of the same people, which has been nice because I kind of have a support group, and I've really bonded with certain people and been able to create those closer relationships, which have helped in times of being overwhelmed. And so I didn't realize how much went into a lesson plan. So this week has really been getting a lesson plan and picking that lesson plan apart and really understanding how we implement them and how we put them together, learning about restorative conversations and restorative plans. Long days, you get to the school at 7 o'clock and you leave like today at 5:15, 5:20, so very, very long days. I think the hardest thing is adjusting my eating schedule because I eat a late lunch and I also eat a late dinner. And so being in Institute, I've had to eat an early lunch, I've had to eat an early breakfast, and I've had to eat an early dinner. So I get up every morning at 4:30 and I shower. It takes me a little bit longer than usual for most guys, so that's probably why. I get up at 4:30, I get in the shower, I iron my clothes, I fix my hair, obviously, and then I go to breakfast around 5:45, and I eat breakfast, I get my coffee, and I get on the bus about 6:20, and we get to the school at 7, and again, like I said, we leave some days at 5, some days at 5:20, so. I really miss my food back home in Mississippi. I'm used to a lot of fried food. I know I probably don't look like it, but I mean, I'm very thankful because it really does help with the financial transition here, is being able to have our food provided for. But I'm a Mississippi boy, and I'm used to fried chicken and fried catfish and all the things that taste good. So getting up early in the morning to be able to get our lunch has been a transition to, packing a lunch bag. I never thought I would ever take a lunch box to a professional work setting, and I've done it every single day. So that's been a fun experience.